My husband just ditched me so he could go back to his high school sweetheart, and it's all because I have infertility issues. So I go to his parents, who by the way love me, and I get them to disown him. I get them to take him off of their inheritance, and now he's absolutely broken. And I did all this just because, well, I think he deserved it. What would you do if out of the blue your life is uprooted and you don't know what to do? And to worsen the pain, the one person responsible for this is the person you trusted the most. Where should a person turn to at such times? I don't know what others will do, but I've turned to you guys. I'm dealing with a terrible life crisis at the moment, and I've decided to rant about it here, hoping for some advice to keep me sane, so let me properly introduce myself first. I'm Maeve, your average well-settled woman with a decent job, a loving husband, and supportive in-laws. Or so I thought. 2 days back, it all came shattering down. When my husband Finn kicked me out of his life and his house. I never could have dreamt something like this in 1,000 years because things were going fine with us. So you can imagine how devastating it must have been for me when Finn all of a sudden tells me that he didn't need me anymore. I know it sounds a bit confusing right now. Forgive me for getting ahead of myself, it's just that I'm too overpowered by the emotions. Let me tell you guys what exactly happened right from the start so you can understand my story just a little bit better. Finn and I have known each other for years now, and we first met at a dinner party since his father and my father were business partners. It was nothing like love at first sight, oh no, but there was always this ease whenever Finn and I were together. We started seeing each other more often and got along pretty well. We knew we were pretty comfortable with each other, and that comfort is the same thing because of which our friendship turned into romance soon enough. So, we dated a few amazing months before Finn finally popped the question. We knew it was very soon, but it just made sense. He wanted to settle in as soon as possible, and I knew this was the guy I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. So naturally I said yes. The fact that our families got along pretty well was just the cherry on top. Everything was going great and dreamy for a year until we started trying for a baby. See, both Finn and I did not want to delay having a baby much, so we were both excited to have one as soon as we could. We did question it a bit. Finn, was not particularly established in his career. He's always been the type of person relying on his father's riches for his expenses. Well, his father always supported him in his dreams. Always. All these years, Finn's been aspiring to be a pop star. His passion for his dream was kind of what made me more attracted to him in the first place, but the dream seems to be dying a slow death. He gets a gig or two here and there, and there's no other development other than that. I also did not have any particular problem supporting our family financially, because to me, his happiness mattered more than anything. That's how we finally reached this decision to try for a baby, and that's how we came across the first big hiccup in our marriage. It's been 2 years since we've been married, and it's been more than a year since we've been trying for a baby. But clearly, it's not working. But it never became an issue in our marriage because issues like I've seen a lot of couples who ended up fighting daily or get distant because of their inability to have children. I've also seen extreme cases where these issues became the reason for the couple's separation. I felt extremely lucky to have Finn, who did not make this out to be a big issue. He always supported me and comforted me whenever I got sad because of these things. Even Finn's parents were very supportive of the entire thing and just kept encouraging us to keep trying. But that was all until now. This is why all of this is too shocking for me, so for the past few weeks, Finn's been a bit distant from me. But I didn't actually think about it too much. He has found this new gig at a club and has been a bit occupied with it, so I've been ignoring his weird behavior, thinking he might be tired from the new setting. Both of us were actually happy about the whole thing, as the gig meant he had some sort of source of earning for a while. And it would be all good for us since we were still trying for a baby. But all my hopes for a baby and a happy family came crashing down 2 days ago, when Finn asked me for a divorce. I couldn't believe my eyes when he slammed the divorce papers on the table in front of me. It was all happening so suddenly that it took me a moment to actually process what was actually going on. After that, I could just let out a low mutter, asking Finn what was it, and his answer has me shook until now. He started humiliating me and talking about how he's just been tolerating me all this while. I don't know what had taken over him because he had never been so rude to me in the 2 years of our marriage. But 2 days ago, I saw a completely new side of Finn, and it was really hard for me to accept it. Like, obviously, how would you react if the love of your life told you that you're of no use to him? Most of us would be heartbroken at the exact moment, but then to listen to your husband calling you a useless Barren, that's got to hurt, right? It's kind of breaking your confidence and your belief in yourself. I mean, imagine you thinking the worst about yourself and the person you trust the most ends up validating your deepest insecurities instead of comforting you. So, to say that I was devastated would be an absolute understatement. I could just see my whole life crashing in front of my eyes. Once actually processed the whole thing. It took me about 5 minutes of sitting dumbly while Finn was just hurling all these insults at me. Well, I finally asked him where all of this was coming from. And, well, all of a sudden... Guys, he just simply tells me that he could not stay any longer with a woman who could not even give him a kid. And that was not even the worst part of all. Finn did not stop at humiliating and insulting me. He went ahead to ask me to pack my bags and leave the house that night. When I asked him where would I go, he just tells me that he didn't care anymore as he didn't need me anymore. The arrogance of not exactly relying on me for money was evident in his voice. It seemed like this new gig had given him some crazy confidence. Maybe that's why he seemed distant from me for the past month. It was like this new gig changed him completely. But the funny part was that I knew how Finn was still dependent on his father for money. He might show me that he didn't need anyone, but obviously he couldn't do things without his father's money. Yet no one of this seemed to give me relief. This was the guy I had fallen in love with. I felt like I deserved a better explanation from him rather than that stupid, "I don't need you anymore." But it was too late for that because before I could ask him anything else, Finn started packing my bags and kicked me out of the house. I was desolate, and it wasn't because I didn't have a place to go. I could easily rent a hotel or ask a friend for a favor if I wanted, but it was more about the lack of emotional support I felt at the moment. So I called the only family I had in town my in-laws. My parents shifted to another city just a year ago, so I had only Finn's parents to rely on if I wanted guidance. And it wasn't bad. I got along well with them, and unlike all the evil in-law stories I read here, they actually treated me like their own daughter. So, I called Finn's mom and told her what had happened. She was upset about the whole thing, but told me that Finn had talked to them about it earlier and he just didn't feel he could continue a marriage like this anymore. He told them that this inability to have a kid has started to lead him to be depressed, and he felt this emptiness in his life. So, he thought it would be better if we went our separate ways. Can you believe it? This man who was still supposed to be in love with me cared about saving his mental health by ruining mine? It was crazy. Finn's mother, Miss Dawson, went ahead to tell me that they don't have an option but to support their son in these tough times. I actually understood their situation. They were really supportive of me about the whole thing, but they couldn't just do anything about it. They even helped me by offering me a place at their house, since I didn't have a place to go. But I turned it down because, well, it would be weird with me living at Finn's parents' place. So, that's how I ended up living at a friend's place right now. I could have got a hotel, but I just didn't want to be alone. And she was more than willing to let me stay as long as I wanted, and that's how I've been living with her for the past 2 days while looking for places to rent. But amongst all the chaos, I'm unable to focus on anything, be it my apartment search for work. I'm just utterly confused. I still can't believe that the guy who had loved me for so long could just change so suddenly. I also can't believe that our inability to have children is the reason why he would act so drastically. I just don't know what's going on in his little mind. I feel like I should go and talk to him once again. Maybe we can discuss things with a calm head and reach a solution. Anyways, what do you guys think? Should I go and talk to him, or is there anything else I can even do? I'm utterly confused and can use some advice, as I don't know what to do in this situation. So please let me know if you have any advice or suggestions for me. Update number 1. Hey guys, it's been just 4 days since my initial post. Though it's a very short time, the things that have happened in such a short time is crazy. I can't believe I was lamenting and feeling back about my jerk of a husband, 'cause all this time he was not depressed as he claimed. He was clearly living his life, and I know you guys are confused. My mood from the initial post has changed drastically, hasn't it? I was confused and helpless then, but all I feel right now is anger. Well, before I get into what I actually found out, let me reply to a few of the commenters. I saw a lot of people supporting me and sharing similar accidents of this sort, but I can't believe how horrible some men can be. Like, we're living in the 21st century, and some people think that all women are good for is giving babies. It's crazy, and this narrow-mindedness needs to stop. How stupid can people be to dump their wives just because they can't have a baby? Come on. That's the woman that you wed and promised to support forever, and that's how you treat her? It's insane. I also saw a lot of you accusing me of not understanding my husband. Well, to enlighten you guys, I've tried my best to understand his situation, and all I could find was disappointment and disgust. You guys will understand soon enough what I'm talking about. Most of you guys suggested that I should go talk to Finn, and that's exactly what I intend to do. But then I was met with surprise, which brought a crazy angle to this whole thing. 2 days ago, when I went to Finn's house, Finn was not there. I thought that I might have misjudged the time and arrived when Finn was out of his daily performance at the club. But when I was greeted by a woman at the door, I was shocked. It was more shocking she had just a skimpy dress on, which would be totally inappropriate if she was just Finn's friend. I was confused as to who was this woman and why she looked so familiar. She tells me that Finn was not home. Well, I left it at that. There's no use of talking to this stranger about anything. I went to the club Finn worked at after, and guess what? I got another shocking surprise. It turns out that Finn quit working there just after a week of being hired. I was all the more confused about where had Finn been going for the past month. I did what any crazy obsessive ex-wife would do, don't get me wrong. It was all done with the right intentions to find out the truth. I secretly waited for Finn to get home. I hid myself in the car at a place where he could not see me or my vehicle, but I'd have the perfect view of his driveway. After waiting for about an hour, Finn did come back. To my surprise, he got out of the car with a bunch of presents and branded paper bags. That was not the most shocking part. The most shocking part came when the woman I met earlier opened up the door and Finn kissed her. I was shocked, I was confused, I couldn't shake the feeling that this woman looked eerily familiar. Also, was Finn dating her? I mean, really, was he dating her? I mean, it obviously looked like that, but if he got some other woman in the house as soon as I was out, was he cheating on me the whole while? Was this the reason why he had dumped me and used the baby excuse? I don't know. I had so many questions, but answers to none. I wanted to talk to Finn the day of that, but I suddenly felt sick, so I went back to my friend's house. And this is where it gets crazy. I think I'm pregnant. Yeah, I took a test yesterday and it came out to be positive. I can't be too sure because these things are always wrong, but I'm going to visit a doctor tomorrow. Can you believe how crazy it would be if I actually was pregnant? Like, trying for a year and then getting pregnant just when my husband dumps me. It's gotta suck in every way. Let's just see what happens at the doctor's. I'll keep you guys updated. Update number 2. Hey guys, it's me. I am here for an update. I have some things to tell you. So, it's been 2 days since the last post, but I need to break some insane news. If you thought that whatever I told you in the last update was crazy, then just wait for this because it's about to get wilder. Well, I don't know if it's good news or bad news, but I'm a month pregnant. Can you believe how crazy that is? Like, I was pregnant when Finn dumped me for my inability to have kids. And if you're thinking how I'm feeling about the pregnancy, then let me tell you that I'm not actually sad about it. I've wanted this baby for a year, and I'm going to lament it just because its father turned out to be a complete jerk. I'll be having this baby, dang it, whether it's one decision or the other. Maybe this is for the best, as after Finn dumped me, I lost all direction in life, so maybe my baby could be the new direction I need. So you could say I'm somewhat happy. But that didn't mean that I didn't worry about the circumstances this baby would be born into. I was worried sick, and that's why I decided to break the news. He was the father of the baby and he deserved to know about its existence. Maybe this baby was all needed to save our marriage. Though after what Finn treated me like, I didn't actually want to be with him again. But this baby deserved to have a father in its life, and just for my baby's sake, I went to talk to Finn yesterday and it could not have gone any worse. So, when I went to Finn's house and told him about the baby, he went nuclear. I actually expected him to be happy about it since he claimed how depressed he was since he can't have a baby, but his reaction was the total nuclear opposite. He tells me to get out of his house as soon as possible as he's with Lucy now. I was shocked at his reaction, and then he went on saying that he wanted nothing to do with me or my baby. Can you believe it? Like, wasn't this the same guy who dumped me a few days ago before citing the reason that he couldn't be with a woman who could not give him a child, and now that I'm ready to give him a baby, he's refusing to take responsibility? And guys, remember how I told you that the woman Finn was apparently dating looked oh so familiar? Well, it's clear to me when Finn tells me her name. Lucy. So, Lucy was in the same high school as Finn, and Finn had the biggest crush on her. I'd seen pictures of her in Finn's high school yearbooks. It was clear how obsessed Finn had been with her, because when he came across the picture, he couldn't just stay shut about Lucy. I ignored it all the time, thinking it's just a silly high school crush, but little did I know Lucy would make an entry back into our lives again, and this time, steal Finn away from me. Because it was clear that this is exactly what has happened. So, before leaving, I asked Finn, when did he meet Lucy again? That's when the whole story came to light. He was so arrogant and thought that I could not actually do anything about it, so he tells me everything. Lucy met him at the club he was working in, and when he found out Lucy was single, he just couldn't, quote, lose the perfect chance to date her. He wanted to live with Lucy, so he had to get me out of the picture. Can you believe that it was this way he chose to do it? He could have just told me he didn't want to be with me, but humiliating me about my insecurities? That's sick. I asked him why he just didn't tell me about it, so his reason for doing all this was his parents liking me. Yeah, Finn knew that if he told his parents and he wanted to divorce me because of some other girl, they would never allow it and forced him to stay with me. So he went ahead with another option. Can you even believe how foolish this man is? In his arrogance, not only did he admit his infidelity, he also gave me the perfect thing to use against him. Poor Mr. and Mrs. Dawson, feeling so sad and sorry for their son while their son is just fooling them. They shouldn't be kept in the dark for long, right? I can't believe Finn would go to such extent just because he wants to be with Lucy. And now he's refusing to take responsibility for my baby for her? That's the limit of insanity. I've decided to teach him a good old-fashioned lesson and knock some sense into his noggin. I have a bit of a plan in my mind, so let's just hope everything goes as planned. I'll update you guys in a bit. Update number 3. Oh boy. Hey guys. Well, it's been a week since the last update? Remember I told you about the plan I had in mind to teach Finn a lesson? Well, it didn't go as well as I thought because my stupid husband, or soon-to-be ex-husband, decides to jump in and ruin everything. So let me start from the very get-go. After I went to Vin and, got to know about the whole truth of how he used the fertility issue as an excuse to cover up his infidelity, I decided to tell his parents about it. I had to, not just for my own sake, but for their sake as well. They were too devout to their son and saw him as the perfect man. They were actually feeling sad for him, and he had been getting more money from them in the name of sympathy. They deserved to know the truth more than anyone else. I knew it would break their little heart, and they came to know that their son was lying to them all this time, but it had to be done. So I went to their house and revealed the whole thing. I told them how Finn had been seeing his high school crush for more than a month behind all of our backs. I went ahead to tell them that this was the reason why he wanted me out of the picture, and he just used our baby issues as an excuse. Well, they were hurt obviously, but more for me than for themselves. They told me that they were ashamed of their son's actions and would make sure that he faced the consequences of it. So the next day they called me for a meeting, inviting me as well as Finn. And that's when things took a really different turn. I had expected Mr. and Mrs. Dawson to rebuke Finn for what he did and make him pay for all of it. And that actually, did it. They told Finn how disappointed they were in him, and they were actually thinking of cutting Finn off if he refused to take responsibilities for the baby inside of my womb. That's when Finn turned the tables. He looked all sad and told his parents that the baby in the womb was actually not his. He constructed a web of lies, talking about how I was the one who cheated on him, and that's the reason, why he divorced me. He told his parents that he didn't want to reveal all this to them, since he didn't want them to have a bad image of me. Thus, he made the excuse of the baby issue as their reason for divorce. Not just this, he went ahead to justify his affair with Lucy, saying she was the one to comfort him when he was heartbroken from my actions. And that's when the feelings developed between the two. He portrayed it all that they couldn't judge him for trying to move on after such a heartbreak. I caused him. I couldn't believe that this guy I've known for so long could be this wicked. My in-laws told me that as much as they wanted to believe my side of the story, I had no proof that Finn's story was not true. I tried to tell them that he was lying, but I knew it was of no use. I knew I needed solid evidence to make them believe me. I actually felt angry that Finn was able to twist the story like this because I knew his parents were good people who would support the right thing even if it meant their son was in the wrong. So now all I want to prove is that, this is indeed Finn's baby. I'm ready to do a DNA test, but I must wait at least a month because prenatal DNA tests can't be done until 10 weeks of pregnancy. So now all I can do is sit on my hands. Until then, if you guys have any suggestions of how I could prove my side of the story, please let me know. Final update. Hey guys, it's been 3 long months since I've posted, and this will most probably be it. Because guess what? I was finally able to get Finn punished for whatever he did to me. And believe me, it went better than expected. As I mentioned in the last update, I was planning on taking a prenatal test just to prove my point. So when the time came when I could actually take one, I talked to Finn's parents about it. Finn was really reluctant to agree to it, but his parents pressured him into it. And I ended up doing the test and proving that I was carrying Finn's child, and not only that, the DNA test was enough to prove that whatever Finn had told his parents was lies. And my side of the story was the truth. Finn's parents were furious. Not only had their son lied to them once, but also tried to fool them again with his lies. They were so disappointed that they ended up cutting him off. That's not all. They kicked him out of the will, and willed their entire fortune to their grandbaby, meaning the baby in my womb. To say that Finn's parents are rich would be an understatement, so they had just ensured my baby's future education and good life. I was really grateful to them for taking a stand against their son just to support me. They truly treated me like their own daughter because even after I filed for divorce, we had a good bond. They see me a few times a month and it truly feels like my own family. Mrs. Dawson is even helping me out with the pregnancy, tips and whatnot, being there with me during ultrasounds, and they've even asked me to move into their home. I refused again since I wanted my own place and was able to rent a small cozy apartment. It's also overwhelming for me, but I'm grateful. As for Finn, whose career was already going miserable, his life became worse after his father cut him off. And since he didn't have the money to bear Lucy's extravagant wishes, she ended up dumping him. Can you believe who Finn turned to after that? Me. Yep. Once he knew his parents had willed everything to their grandbaby, he came crawling to me asking me to take him back. Well, obviously I couldn't make that mistake of falling for the wrong guy again. Twice. So I just told him that I'd see him in court, buddy. Currently, our divorce proceedings are going on, and soon I'll be free from this sham of a marriage. I'm quite happy, while Finn is just miserable, working as a dog walker, just to make ends meet. Well, I guess that's what you get for playing with your own wife. Wow, what an insane story. I could not imagine having to be in a situation like that, but I do want to read one comment that not a lot of people support. But there was a lot of comments going back and forth arguing with this one, so here it is. Is it just me or does anyone else just feel like OP was just after Finn's parents' money all this time? And at the end, she did end up getting it, even if it meant that Finn was the one who ended up miserable. I know that what he did was wrong, but how his parents punished him, it seemed a bit extreme to be honest. You know, the OP should have tried to stop them and try to change their mind because no one deserves to be treated like that. Let me know your thoughts on that one, guys. Drop it down below. Let's talk about it. My name's Mr. Redditope, and if you're new to this channel, welcome. I want to tell you, there's a new story every single day. So stop on by tomorrow, see what we're up to, and of course remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.